Welcome back to the Deep Dive. Today, we are doing something a little different. We're closing out 2025, but instead of looking at, big global events,
Zooming way in.
we're going to hyper-focus on the annual calendar of a single, really dedicated community, the Charlotte Wood Carvers Club, or CWC.
That's right. And our source material for this is just fascinating. It's not some high-level report. We have a stack of their monthly newsletters from January all the way through December of 2025.
So we get this incredible, granular, month-by-month view of everything.
Exactly. We see their strategy, how they're developing skills, their community work. It's a full chronological record of what it takes to run a group like this.
I love this because what these sources show isn't just a hobby club. It's really a miniature nonprofit organization in action. You can see the momentum building.
Oh, absolutely. The huge logistical lift of their annual show, leadership changes, and just this constant drive to, as they put it, promote the art of wood carving.
One small piece at a time. So our mission today is really to pull out the key milestones from their year. We're basically building an annual calendar for you, the listener, to see what a year in the life of this kind of dedicated community looks like.
It's all about the carving, the service, and the camaraderie.
Okay, so let's get into it. Let's start at the very beginning of the year, Q1, with all that foundational work that has to happen before you can really start making chips fly.
Right. So, January. The tone is set immediately. The club president at the time, Jerry Clark, he uses his first message of the year to issue a challenge.
This wasn't just a simple Happy New Year then.
Not at all. He was really pushing the members to step outside their comfort zones, to set new goals for themselves, and this is the key part, to commit to practicing all the time.
Right, I saw that. His
Yeah.
whole philosophy was about that daily engagement. It wasn't about tackling some massive project.
No, it was just keep the wood chips flying, even for half an hour. That consistent low-stakes practice is how you turn an interest into a real craft.
And it's interesting because right alongside that push for new skills, they immediately start the year by honoring their history.
They do. In that same month, January, the CWC inducted 2 new honorary lifetime members, Joe Davis and Neil McGuire.
And that's a big deal. It's an honor that's reserved for people who've given years and years of service.
Exactly. It's a way of saying we see your commitment and we value it. It validates the club's history while, motivating the next group of leaders.
And that commitment wasn't just internal to the club. January also immediately established a really strong philanthropic focus for the year.
A huge one. They targeted 3 specific organizations for donations from their club reserves.
And these were Wood for Warriors, Carolina Relief, and Samaritan's Purse.
Right. And the money was specifically earmarked to help victims of Hurricane Helene, which had devastated parts of western North Carolina.
And there's a personal connection there for the club, isn't there?
A very strong one. That region, the Blue Ridge Mountains, is where they hold their annual carving seminars at a place called Wild Acres. So they're not just picking charities from a list.
They're giving back to the community that is, in a way, their creative home.
It's reciprocity. It's not just charity.
So speaking of action, January also means they are full steam ahead on preparing for their biggest event of the year.
The 42nd Showcase of Wood Carvings. And the theme was Music in Motion.
And Joe Davis, one of the new Lifetime members, was in charge of vendor recruitment. That is a massive job.
It's a huge logistical effort because those vendor fees are a major part of the club's revenue. And at the same time, Neil Zip was organizing the seminars.
He was lining up 5 one-hour sessions with some really acclaimed carvers.
Right. Getting that top-tier talent booked early is absolutely essential if you want to draw a big crowd. And we know they got Don Butler,
The carving glove guy.
the one and only. He was registered early as a vendor, which is a great sign. It tells you that well-respected people in the carving world see the Charlotte Show as a must-attend event.
So the excitement is definitely building in January. How did they carry that momentum into February in terms of, finances and education?
Well, February is where they made a really crucial strategic move on the education front. This is when their new monthly mini-class series really gets off the ground.
Okay, this sounds like a great idea for making skills more accessible. These were scheduled for the 4th Saturday of every month.
The 4th Saturday, yep. And it really solves a common problem in hobby clubs, which is that barrier to entry.
A full-day seminar can be a lot. It's intimidating. It can be expensive.
Exactly. These mini-classes are designed for quick skill building. They're often free or very low cost. And the very first one, the Pyatt class on February 22nd, was a brilliant choice.
Because it wasn't even focused on carving, was it?
No, it was about finishing. Diana Clark taught a free painting class. She covered different kinds of paint, brushes, All the techniques you need to really bring a finished carving to life.
That's so smart. I mean, so many beginners get terrified of the painting part. You can spend hours on a carving and then feel like you've ruined it with one bad brush stroke.
Absolutely. So focusing on that crucial last step shows they really understand the learning process. And February was also crunch time for fundraising for the showcase.
The raffle and the silent auction.
Right, they're primary moneymakers. And they set some really aggressive goals. 100 items for the raffle table and 8 to 10 high-value items for the silent auction.
And they landed some major corporate sponsors. That says a lot about their professional standing.
It really does.
Yeah.
I mean, you have to stop and look at the value of these items for a serious carver. This isn't just, small stuff.
Yeah. They got a Fordham K5240, which is valued at $375.
And a Proxen disc sander, the TSG 250E, valued at $365.
For anyone listening who might not know, a Fordham is like the gold standard for rotary carding tools. It's essential for detail work, and that Proxen sander gives you the precision you need for shaping.
These are professional-grade tools. They're going to attract serious bidders to that silent auction.
And they also had a strategy to get the members themselves to buy raffle tickets early.
Yeah, they offered a discount in February. You could get 50 tickets for $20, which they specifically called the best buy for your buck, before the price went up.
That's just smart cash flow management. Get that money in early to help cover all the upfront costs of the show.
And they also continued a collaborative project, the Friendship Lamp, which required 14 different carvers to each do a block for a new floor lamp. Just a fantastic way to get people working together.
So after all that educational and financial groundwork, we get to March. And March is all about internal governance.
It's election month. They needed to fill the president, vice president, and treasurer roles, plus one board member position.
And this is where you really see that tension between the craft itself and the organization needed to support it.
Totally. The newsletter was very frank about it. They were encouraging people to step up, but they also admitted that taking on a leadership role can take away from your actual carving time.
It's a trade-off, right? A few people have to sacrifice some of their personal carving time so that the entire community can keep going.
Exactly. But the club got some great news in March that really proved their new educational focus was working.
The mini class.
That first painting workshop with Diana Clark, it had a record turnout. 18 people showed up.
Wow, that's the highest attendance they'd ever had for a special Saturday meeting like that.
It confirmed that members wanted more than just time to carve. They wanted to master the whole process. That success basically guaranteed they'd be scheduling more of these focused classes.
The newsletter editor also had some great practical advice for new carvers getting ready for the show. Some common mistakes to avoid.
Yes, and it's just wonderful, slightly humorous wisdom. First, he warned about using the wrong kind of wood, specifically anything other than northern basswood.
Okay, let's break that down for a listener who's maybe new to carving. Why is northern basswood so important?
It's prized because it has a really tight, consistent grain. It doesn't have much of a scent, and crucially, it doesn't have a lot of resin or hard knots.
So it cuts cleanly.
Very cleanly, in any direction. It's ideal for the kind of detailed work you see in caricatures or bird carvings. If a beginner tries to use something like pine, they're just going to get frustrated with all the splintering and breakage.
Makes sense. The editor also warned against starting with super complex projects, and the big one, giving up when you get stuck.
And the advice was just brilliant. Practice every day, even for 30 minutes, and learn to improvise. If you accidentally cut the brim off a hat, just change the shape of the hat.
Don't quit. Adapt. That's a life lesson right there.
It really is. And outside the club itself, March was also busy. They had members at the Spring Renegade Roundup, and more importantly, they formalized a new partnership.
With Andrew Saleo, the town of Davidson arborist. This sounds really cool.
It was called Life After Death. The whole idea was to figure out how the club could use trees that the town had to remove. Because of storms or disease.
So it gives members access to wood they might not otherwise be able to get?
Or afford. We're talking about large burls, aged cherry, seasoned oak. It's a fantastic partnership between a town's resources and its artistic community. It's all about sustainability.
So Q2 rolls around, and that brings us to the main event, the centerpiece of the CWC's entire year, the 42nd annual showcase of wood carvings in April.
Right. This is the culmination of everything they worked on in Q1, and they had a huge achievement to announce.
The vendor table.
They sold out completely. For the first time in a few years. That's a massive metric of success.
It's not just about prestige, it's about financial health. It means that Joe Davis and his team did an incredible job marketing the show.
It proves that national-level tool suppliers, wood dealers, and instructors all see the Charlotte Show as an essential event on the circuit.
And the sources really play up the show's reputation. It was publicly recognized as the largest show in the Southeast.
A title like that is going to attract serious talent and a big audience. And their advertising campaign was really robust. It went way beyond just, carving magazines.
They had ads in multiple local papers, Share Charlotte, the Lake Norman paper, the Lincoln Herald-Times.
But here's where they took it to another level. They got 2 television spots, one on Fox News of Charlotte and another with a local personality, Larry Sprinkle.
Wow. That kind of exposure takes you from being a niche craft group to being a major regional cultural event.
It was a direct payoff for all the hard work the advertising team put in.
And even with the huge showcase going on, they were still active in the broader community in April.
They were. They bought tables at 3 other regional carving shows in Lexington, Hickory, and Greenville, acting as ambassadors for their own club.
And they also helped plant trees in Davidson. The mayor was there, read a proclamation. It's such a powerful image, right? Wood carvers planting the trees that future generations will carve.
It's a perfect circle. And educationally, the monthly mini-class just kept rolling. On April 29th, Jonathan Creason taught a packed class on carving a pirate on the corner.
Which sounds like a really fun project for learning about perspective and form.
Exactly. And this is also where the club had to make one of those small but really important logistical clarifications.
Oh, yes, the schedule.
They had to remind everyone that the class is always on the 4th Saturday of the month.
Not the last Saturday.
Right. It only matters when a month has 5 Saturdays. But it's the kind of small detail that prevents a lot of confusion. You don't want 18 people showing up on the wrong day.
Definitely not. So that brings us to May. The show season is successfully wrapped up, and now we have a major transition in the organization.
Right. May marks the official end of Jerry Clark's term as president. And Steve Stilitano is stepping in to lead the club.
Did the newsletter suggest this was a smooth transition?
Very smooth. It seems really deliberate, which speaks to the club's overall stability. But before the official change, they celebrated the results from the showcase competition.
And the winners confirmed the quality of the entries.
For sure. Phil Gentry, who's actually from the Capital City Wood Carvers in Tallahassee, won the big one. Best of show.
For his bust, Days Gone By, a bust requires just an incredible amount of skill. Anatomy, expression.
It really does. And in the intermediate division, David Rowe won Best of Intermediate for a piece called To Kill a Mockingbird. I love these narrative titles.
And there was some really positive feedback after the show, right?
There was. Phil Gentry, the Best of Show winner, sent a specific thank you message to all the volunteers. He said, "From check-in to check-out, I was treated with kindness. You have a great team."
That's not just praise for the logistics. That's praise for the club's culture. For the people.
Exactly. And the outgoing president, Jerry Clark, he echoed that. He expressed total confidence in the new leadership and said the new board was lucky to have such a strong, talented group of members to back them up.
So he left the club in a really strong position.
He did. Which sets the stage perfectly for June, when the new board officially takes over. Steve Stilitano becomes president, and Tom Cavanaugh returns as vice president, which provides some important continuity.
And there were other key changes, too, in those really essential support roles.
Right. Don Rierson took over for Rich DeFranco as treasurer, and Christy Gaskell replaced Neil Zipp as the membership leader.
Those are vital jobs. The treasurer is handling all that money from the showcase, and the membership leader is the first person new members interact with.
And Stilitano's very first message as president immediately recentered the club on its core mission.
Which is?
To promote the art of wood carving. He linked that mission directly to their most visible community work.
Like handing out those little hand-carved owls at events like Matthew's Alive.
Exactly. Or offering beginner classes, participating in other competitions. He basically said, this is our goal. Hold me accountable to it.
And that focus on education and outreach showed up immediately in the June calendar.
It did. They announced a bunch of new classes right away. A mournful dog class with Neil Zipp, the owl was Steve Stilitano himself, and a comfort bird class with Don Rierson.
That's a really diverse set of projects.
It's very strategic. The dog class focuses on expression. The owl is about symmetry, and it's their giveaway item. And the comfort bird is a simple, tactile project that's often used for therapeutic purposes. It shows they're trying to engage carvers at all different levels.
This is a great time to talk about one of the most popular subjects they carve, wood spirits. The newsletters gave some background on the folklore.
Right. Wood spirits are described as these whimsical beings that live in trees. They're protectors, guides, and they symbolize that deep connection to nature.
And they trace the lineage of the wood spirit back to the green man motif you see in Europe.
Exactly. That face you see emerging from leaves in the architecture of old medieval cathedrals. It's a way of grounding this modern craft in centuries of historical art.
All right, moving to the summer, Q3. July marks the start of the club's new fiscal year.
Right, which runs from June 1st to May 31st of the next year. And the newsletter had a nice little historical note, wishing everyone a happy 4th of July, and pointing out the country was turning 249.
Putting them right on the doorstep of the 250th anniversary.
Yep. But the big strategic news in July was all about the 2026 showcase. The newsletter laid out some really significant changes to the competition categories.
And this wasn't just minor tweaking. They were fundamentally adjusting the prize money categories.
To strongly encourage more diversity, they wanted to move away from just caricatures and birds, which tend to dominate the competition every year.
So was the feeling that the competition was getting a little stagnant?
I think so, yeah. The new board clearly wanted to reward technical skill in some of the more niche areas to get carvers to try new things.
So what were some of the new prize categories?
Well, there was Best of Reptiles, Best of Large Single-Subject Caricature, which they defined as being over 8 inches tall.
Okay, so a specific size requirement.
Right. There was also Best of Stylized Carvings, Best of Prehistoric, Mythical, and Fantasy, Best of Walking Sticks and Canes, and Best of Shorebirds.
Wow, that completely changes the game. And the prize money, from $25 for a novice up to $100 for the open category. That's clearly designed to incentivize people to put in the time on these other genres.
It's an administrative decision that will directly shape the artistic output of the entire regional carving community. It's the board using their role to foster the art, not just judge the existing craft.
And the new president, Steve Stilitano, shared a great personal story that showed his own commitment outside of carving.
He did. He mentioned he was going to miss 2 weeks of carving right at the start of his term.
Because he was teaching a summer camp he created himself.
Finance 101 for 25 high school students. It's fantastic. It just reinforces that the club's leadership is passionate about community education in general. This is someone who gets the importance of passing on skills, whether it's carving a bird or balancing a tech book.
Circling back to the wood spirits for a second, the July newsletter also touched on how modern carvers interpret them.
Right. While the original Green Man in medieval times had all these theological meanings about sin and redemption.
The face in the leaves meant something very specific.
It did. But modern carvers have really embraced the wood spirit as a more whimsical figure. It's about capturing a delightful, maybe mischievous caricature emerging from the grain of the wood. It allows for a ton of artistic freedom.
August brings the summer social and a big focus on charity.
A very well-attended social. About 40 members and guests were there, but the most important part was its success as a food drive.
The massive success.
They collected 158 pounds of food and over $250 in cash for an organization called Nourish Up.
That's a huge win for the local community. It shows how they leverage even their social events for a good cause.
And they specifically thanked Bill Dominic, who coordinated the food, and Bill Robinson and Rich DeFranco for leading the drive and making deliveries to local families.
And we also hear about a problem that's actually a sign of success, a wood shortage.
Right. The Wood Locker, which is their internal supply store, announced they were sold out of the popular 3-inch and 3.5-inch basswood sticks.
And why was that?
Because of the high demand from all the popular new classes being held at the barn. If the classes weren't working, people wouldn't be buying the wood. It's a great problem to have.
The club also launched a new member benefit in August to address a common scheduling problem.
The Late Stay Program, which started on August 5th.
This is such a simple but brilliant idea.
It's pure, proactive problem solving. It allows a couple of veteran carvers, Joe Davis and Steve Stilitano were the first volunteers to stay until 7:00 p.m. every Tuesday.
So members who can't get there during the day still have access to mentorship. It just removes a huge barrier to participation.
It's a real commitment to being accessible. It's also important to mention the warning that came out in August.
The scam warning.
Yeah, the president had to send out an alert about fraudulent emails that were targeting members.
Okay.
The emails looked like they were coming from him, using the CWC name, and asking people to buy gift cards for less fortunate veterans.
It's just a sad reality that scammers target these tight-knit communities because they prey on that built-in trust.
Exactly. So that quick, transparent warning from the president was crucial to protect everyone.
Amid all that, the education just kept going. Steve Stilatano taught a Santa Gnome class on August 23rd, and the material he used was ingenious.
A basswood rolling pin.
Right. Tell me about that.
It's brilliant for beginners. It lets you completely bypass the hardest part, which is rounding a big block of wood. The cylindrical shape is already there.
So you can jump right into learning tool control and carving the details.
Exactly. The class was only $10 to cover the cost of the rolling pin, and it just reinforced that focus on accessible, fun projects that give you a finished piece quickly.
September seems to be all about external engagement, getting out into the community.
Very much so. The club was invited to the Matthews Farmers Market, where they did carving demonstrations.
And the highlight was definitely their signature giveaway.
Oh, yeah. They handed out nearly 400 hand-carved owls to the kids who visited their tent. The newsletter mentioned it was all about creating children's smiles. It's just a fantastic grassroots way to promote the art to the next generation.
And we get some great follow-up on the success of that Santa Gnome class from August.
A huge win for recruitment. The president reported that two brand-new carvers, Karen and Paul DeProfio, took the class, and they both left with a carving that was 90% complete.
That 90% metric is the key. That's what brings people back.
It proves the class is designed to make you feel successful. When a beginner leaves with something that looks almost finished after just one session, they're motivated. It feeds that membership pipeline.
And to finish out September, the editor provided this incredible deep dive into wood science. This is really critical stuff for any serious carver.
Absolutely. The article carefully explained the difference between heartwood and sapwood.
Okay, let's define those. Heartwood is the older, inner part of the tree.
Right. It's darker, harder, and non-living. It's usually more expensive because it's denser. Sapwood is the younger, outer layer. It's lighter, softer, and it's the living part of the tree that transports nutrients.
And for a carver, that difference is everything. A caricature carver might want the soft, consistent texture of sapwood.
Whereas someone doing a large structural piece might need the density and strength of heartwood.
The article also covered the different ways wood is cut, which affects the grain.
Yeah, you talked about clear cut, center cut, rift sawn, and flat sawn. For instance, rift sawn wood is cut perpendicular to the growth rings.
Which gives you a very straight, stable grain, ideal for something like a walking stick that needs to be strong and not warp.
Exactly. And then you have flat sawn wood, which is cut parallel to the rings. It's cheaper, but the grain pattern can be unpredictable and it's more likely to warp. Understanding this stuff isn't just academic. It's the key to picking the right piece of wood so your project doesn't fail. So Q4 kicks off in October with the fall show circuit.
Right. The club members were out there. They were highly visible. They participated in the Smoky Mountain Wood Carvers Show, the Hickory Show, and the Davidson Open House.
And this external participation really shows that the CWC sees itself as a regional leader, not just an internal club. And there was a great individual win.
Liam Lambert, a youth carver.
He won first place in the ornaments category at one of the shows, and he was competing against everyone, not just other kids. That says so much about the quality of instruction at the club.
October also had this incredibly profound historical tribute.
It really did. It shows the club's commitment goes so far beyond just carving. Roy Branch, who is an honorary lifetime member and a Korean War veteran, shared the story of his friend, James Bolich.
And we have to give this story the weight it deserves. Mr. Bolich is the last living survivor of the Bataan Death March.
He turned 104 years old on August 15, 2025.
An unbelievable story of survival. He was a Japanese POW for 3.5 years.
And the physical toll was just immense. He weighed only 90 pounds when he was finally released, a Purple Heart recipient. And Ray Branch asked the club members to send him 104 birthday cards.
So the club became a vehicle for honoring this monumental piece of American history. It just shows the depth of the community there.
It really does. And the club also stayed connected to those Hurricane Helene recovery efforts from the beginning of the year.
David Boone's museum, which had been damaged by the storm, officially reopened on October 3rd.
And to show their support, the club members organized a caravan to visit the museum during their annual retreat at Wild Acres. It's just another example of that solidarity in the carving community.
On the technical side of things, the editor shared some great advice from an expert named Del Stubbs.
On knife stropping and honing, a topic that is absolutely crucial but often overlooked.
It's non-negotiable for a carver. A dull knife is a dangerous knife, and it just tears the wood instead of slicing it cleanly. So for the listener, what's the difference between stropping and honing?
Stropping is what you do constantly while you're carving. It's polishing the very fine edge of the blade, usually on a letter strap with some compound, to keep it surgically sharp.
And honing.
Honing is what you have to do when stropping isn't enough anymore. It means the edges become too rounded or damaged, and you actually have to remove a tiny bit of metal with a fine stone or diamond plate to reestablish the bevel.
The advice was very specific. Use fine diamond, ceramic, or Arkansas stones. Avoid coarse stones that can ruin the delicate edge you need for carving. It's a whole discipline in itself.
November comes around, and there's a moment of reflection for Thanksgiving. The newsletter had this really thoughtful piece on the 3 different historical eras of the holiday.
I loved this. It covered the original holiday, which was all about survival for the Pilgrims.
Then the shift under George Washington, where it became about civic blessings and national unity.
And finally, Lincoln establishing it as a fixed national holiday in 1863, really as a day for national healing during the Civil War. Just a wonderful bit of context.
Educationally, they celebrated some recent class successes. Mark Cable was recognized for a great pumpkin carving class he taught in September.
And he provided the attendees with roughouts. Let's define that.
A roughout is a block of wood that's already been cut to the basic shape of the project, usually with a bandsaw. It saves the carver a ton of time removing waste wood.
So you can get right to the fun part, the detailing.
Exactly. It's perfect for a class setting. And Johnny Mayo was also praised for a fun Christmas tree ornament class in October.
The club also had a sad moment in November, mourning the loss of a member.
John French, a longtime member and a regular Tuesday carver, he passed away in early October.
And this is where that community aspect really comes through. His family's response was incredible.
They generously donated his entire vast collection of tools to the club. The plan was to sell them over the next year to raise money for the club, so his passion would continue to support the community he loved.
The outreach just kept going in November. Rich DeFranco organized their presence at the Waxhaw Autumn Treasure event.
Right, where they met the public, promoted the big show, they sold a few carvings, which is always nice.
But the big draw was a piece by Rocco Priato.
His incredible Santa Claus carving. It was the centerpiece of their booth. Used to draw people in and show them the level of artistry in the club. It was explicitly noted that it was not for sale.
It was pure marketing collateral, a perfect example of the craft.
And that brings us to December, wrapping up 2025 with a very clear vision for the future. And they got a big financial boost.
The club received a check for $800 from the Matthews Alive event, which Mary Rutherford and Christy Gaskell had coordinated.
That is significant income for a non-profit club. For the holidays, they had their winter social on December 13th. And they did a great outreach project on December 1st with a new troop of Trail Life boys.
A carving demonstration and a soap carving project. That's a brilliant way to introduce the hobby to kids.
It's perfect. Soap is soft, it's cheap, it's safe. It lets them learn the motions without the steep learning curve of sharp tools and hardwood.
And the plans for the 2026 show really ramped up in December. Registration opened on the 1st of the month for the 43rd showcase.
The theme was announced, "Help! I need somebody!"
Which sounds like a very playful nod to the huge amount of volunteer work it takes to pull off a show that big.
I think so.
Yeah.
And they made a crucial logistical change.
They moved away from using PayPal for registration. Why was that such a big deal?
It's a classic administrative upgrade. PayPal was apparently causing a lot of headaches for them. For the volume of transactions they were doing, the fee structure, the reconciliation process for the treasurer, it was just becoming too much.
So they switched to Square for credit card payments.
Exactly. It streamlined the whole process, reduced the administrative work, and just made the whole experience smoother and more professional for the members signing up.
A great operational improvement to end the year on. We also get one last member profile, Jim Horn, which really reinforces that idea of dedication over a lifetime.
His carving story goes all the way back to 1957. He was a freshman in high school, carving little Western boot key fobs.
And after joining the CWC in 2013, he shifted his focus from realistic birds to caricature, chip carving, and pyrography.
We should probably define pyrography.
Wood burning.
Essentially, yes.
Yeah.
Drawing on wood with heated metal tips. It takes incredible control to get shading and detail. He was combining all these different techniques, still evolving his craft after decades.
And his personal tradition is just so heartwarming. He carves a unique ornament every single year for each of his 5 grandchildren.
It's a beautiful, tangible connection to his family's history. And to wrap up the year, right where it began with community service, the annual Nourish Up Food and Money Drive was planned for the Christmas party.
And the newsletter pointed out that Nourish Up had provided groceries to over 124,500 people in Mecklenburg County that year. It just hammers home the club's dual identity: a serious carving club and a serious community partner.
So if we step back and look at the whole year for the Charlotte Wood Carvers Club, 2025 was defined by this incredible momentum.
And intentional change. They had a massively successful showcase, sold out all the vendor tables, which just confirms their status as a regional powerhouse.
They went through a full leadership transition with Steve Stilatano taking over, and he immediately focused the mission on promoting the art form.
They launched those new educational programs, the mini classes, the late stay program, and they were so successful they literally created a shortage of wood. That's proof they were working.
And through it all, they balanced that with this constant, significant community service. Hurricane relief, the massive food drives for Nourish Up, getting kids involved with soap carving and owl giveaways.
And they ended the year by setting a whole new artistic direction for their 2026 show, with those new categories designed to reward diversity.
It was a year focused on mastering the technical skills and maximizing social impact. Which brings us to that really interesting debate that was raised in their own newsletters.
Is wood carving art or is it craft?
Right. Art is seen as focusing on aesthetics, on emotion. Crafts is about skill, technique, function.
And based on everything we've seen, the detailed advice on stropping knives, the specific requirements for northern basswood using roughouts to teach, this club is absolutely focused on the craft of it all, the mastery.
But then you look at how they apply that craft. They're not just making beautiful objects to win prizes. They're systematically teaching beginners. They're using their fundraising to support charities.
They're giving up their own carving time to stand at a farmer's market and hand out hundreds of little owls just to make a kid smile.
Exactly. The skill is constantly being applied for the good of the community and to bring new people in.
So what does that mean for the whole art versus craft distinction?
Well, it raises a final question for you, the listener. If a group dedicates itself year-round to using their specialized talent, their craft, as a tool for education, for mentorship, for charity, and for pure community outreach, does that dedication to sharing the work elevate it?
When the product of the skill is used to connect people, to teach kids, to honor a veteran like James Ballich, is community outreach maybe the highest art form that a specialized craft organization can achieve?
Something to think about.
A perfect thought to end on. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive into what it really takes to keep a community and a craft not just alive, but thriving. We'll catch you next time.